And now, the Chris story that really infuriated me this week, a Christmas carol, a particularly traditional carol, has been updated to be, guess what, more inclusive. And it sparked a debate, naturally, about rewriting classic hymns. A church choir in Loughborough performed an updated version of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, honouring women who by men have been erased. Oh, can you believe this? And in a reference to apparently the LGBTQ plus community, that acronym gets longer and longer, queer and questioning people. Should we really be rewriting carols to be more woke? Of course not. Let's talk now to Toby Young, General Secretary of the Free Speech Union. Toby, how are you?
I'm good, Andrew. How are you?
No, I'm a good Catholic boy and I like my carols, and I don't like carols like God Rest You Merry Gentlemen being rewritten by the woke brigade. That's what's happened here.
Yeah, it is quite shocking. I mean, we've seen the Museum of the Home relabel its traditional Christmas exhibit the Winter Festival exhibit in order to avoid offending non-Christians and in an effort to be more inclusive. Joe Biden, in his Christmas address this year, managed to speak for something like 5 minutes without mentioning Christ. But you wouldn't expect the Church of England in a carol service to eliminate any reference to Christ in one of the carols. That seems an extraordinary step for the church to take. Biden, perhaps, the Museum of the Home, OK, but for the church to eliminate references to Christ in an effort to be more inclusive, that seems a bit odd.
Very odd. There's always a possibility, of course, Toby, that Joe Biden forgot to mention Christ, because we know he is a bit absent-minded these days. But I suppose you could turn the tables here, Toby. You are part of the Free Speech Union. It's the right of people to rewrite a traditional carol.
Yes, I suppose that's true, and we could indeed add our own lyrics and insert references to Christ back in whilst singing the carols in the pews, though it could get a little chaotic and sound even worse than it normally does. I think what's odd, I think, is that for people attending a carol service at this church, even I'm sure they would, die in a ditch to defend free speech. They wouldn't expect the vicar to exercise her right to free speech, and it was a female vicar in this case, by changing the carols in this way. I mean, one explanation for why why people have kind of embraced the woke cult and decided to follow it, almost as if they were following a religion, is that it fills a God-shaped hole in their lives, Andrew. They're looking for a sense of meaning and purpose. Christianity no longer provides that, so they find an alternative source of meaning and purpose in embracing this new cult. But what's so surprising about this example is, well, why has the Church of England embraced this cult? Is there a God-shaped hole now in the Church of England? We often joke that, Church of England vicars, archbishops don't really believe in God. They're too wet even to assert that they believe in God. But maybe it's true. Maybe the woke cult is playing the same sort of role for them as it does for non-Christian people. It provides them with a sense of meaning and purpose that they don't get in the church, even though they're officers of the church.
Fascinating. That's Toby Young from the Free Speech Union. Thanks for joining me, Toby, and happy Christmas to you. Danny Kelly, look, maybe it's because I'm a good Catholic boy, or not such a good Catholic boy, but brought up a Catholic. I love carols. I went to a carol concert last week in the church in Farm Street, one of the most beautiful churches in London. The idea that I would have sang a carol that had been rewritten so clumsily and in such a way, I'd have just sung, as Toby Young suggested, the right words.
Yeah, I don't think it is clumsy. I think it's quite deliberate. And I think that these people are hardwired differently to normal everyday folk like you, me, and Toby. I just don't get why they do it. Why do they feel it's important, just to use this word woke, why do they feel it's important to go totally woke, which is starting to drip, infuriate people, because it starts to affect lots of other ways of our daily life. Today we're talking about an Anglican church who have changed the carols to be more inclusive. But if you start to challenge that, then they throw it back at you and say, well, why does it annoy you? And then I said, but why is it important to you? And they say, OK, we want to be more inclusive and progressive. And I said, but is that what church is all about? Is that why I go to church? Because I'm not religious. But if I went to church and I was following the doctrine of the Bible, or the New Testament, then I would think that that was incongruous with the New Testament and the teachings of Christ.
I wonder if the fact that the most recent census showed the number of people ticking the box
Atheists.
Christian, 46%. In 2001, 71%.
So 71%...
It was 71% tick the box Christian in 2001. In the last census, 20 years later, 2021, only 46%.
Wow. Well, there's two factors. We've got mass immigration with people from all around the world, but also we've got... Listen, I'm an atheist. I'm sorry, agnostic at best, atheist in reality. And when we heard Gavin earlier on, who was the chaplain to the Queen, and he was saying that God is the only person that can change all of these horrors in the world, well, in that one sentence, you can understand why no one, or 46% or whatever, don't believe in God.
Yeah, that's Danny Kelly. I'm not sure I should be having an agnostic stroke atheist in the studio.
You can always convert me.
Before Christmas Eve.
With some holy water.
Yeah, well, I've got some holy water from the Holy Land, actually.